Join me, everybody. Mommy, mommy, mommy.
Oi, oi, oi.
That was far more awkward than I thought it was going to be, but welcome to BunkaMania Wrestling, everybody. I am the giraffe, me, Jeremy Graves. I am joined by the Dekker Dane, Mr. Ian Bolton, and, of course, Harriet Manga Girl. Today, we are here to talk about WWE's Elimination Chamber, Perth, because that's the official title of the show, apparently, 2024, which, at the time of recording, literally ended about 10 to 15 minutes ago. We are recording this on Saturday, the 24th of February. The show has basically just gone off the air. So we're going to give some sort of just live, immediate post-show thoughts, which isn't something we get to do too often because, as Americans have found out overnight, normally we're the ones that have to stay up all night. So this time we got to wake up on a Saturday morning and just watch the show. And for the benefit of Australians who normally have to watch pay-per-views, I believe around lunchtime, they actually got to watch one in the evening. So everyone outside of North America is a winner. Welcome to the show, everybody.
Yay.
Yay.
So, Elimination Chamber 2024 is in the books. I think a sort of just point of discussion to begin with, just some general overarching thoughts on the show as a whole. I will sort of lead discussion, as it were, then I'll pass over to you, Harriet. I think this show overall was really good fun, had some really good things in it. Nothing was, for want of a better word, a stinker or anything. Everything kind of served its purpose. It was good fun to watch. The crowd were really into it, provided a really nice atmosphere. And some of the camera visuals that they had across the night, aside from the odd wonky camera moment, which we may get into, overall, the show looked visually fantastic.
Oh, yes. I will say this. It was a good... because this is like the last one before WrestleMania. This is a good way that they have talked about probably future matches that could be for the next pay-per-view, which is great. The matches were really good, I will say. There wasn't, like you said, there wasn't one that wasn't per se bad. They were all good in their own way, even the segments in between as well. So I think this is very much the good step onwards now to the definitive last road to WrestleMania, so to speak.
And how about yourself, Ian? What did you think overall?
I thought it was a very fun show. I mean, the results are were very pretty much plastered on the wall to begin with. But to be honest, it's like sometimes, yeah, we know what's going to happen, but as long as we enjoy the journey, why complain? No, generally a really good show, good atmosphere, good visuals of the event as well. Yeah, I mean, I can't really kind of say it's changed the way I've looked at the Elimination Chamber Premium Live event because it's just been, here is a nice event of Elimination Chamber, and it's like, okay, fair enough. You've got two very good chamber matches. Yeah, it's like it's only 4 matches on this card. 4 matches, three and a bit hours. But I think the nice thing is having the smaller number of matches. You have the opportunity for those matches to kind of grow and build because a lot of them are well paced. And it's like, again, none of the matches felt like they dragged you long or they got really boring or something like that. You felt less invested in it. It's like there was a good structure to the show, and it's one of WWE's strengths right now as a moment, even with their TV shows at the moment. The pacing's getting a lot better, which is a nice thing. Also, I'm just really enjoying the vibe of just going around the globe for these events now. I like the fact that we're more and more now going to different countries for the Premium Live events, because later on this year we've got Paris for Backlash, then we've got Bash in Berlin as well, coming back to Germany. Cool, yeah, so it's like, yay, we're going. It's like, if you're going to be a world wrestling entertainment company, why not go around the world? Makes perfect sense.
I mean, I know I said it several times, but I want to go Australia now. The amount of selling and advertising they were doing for that.
Michael Cole basically going, go to Australia. It's a place of dreams. Look what you can do. You can meet animals like a koala or a kangaroo, or you can find some wine, or I don't know, go surfing. It's Australia. Go Australia. Please, go Australia. Please, they're paying us to be here.
Yeah, for me, it has really reinforced the point. I would love to go there one day. It's just, as we were discussing on our own little private chat between us, just it's so much travel. And for a man of my stature, it's bad enough trying to get to like survive a 2-hour flight. But that's a conversation for a travel podcast, quite frankly. And speaking of podcast, folks, actually, it's also a good time to mention it. If you are joining us for the first time, we hope that you enjoy the show, be you joining us here on YouTube in video form or in audio form via your podcast provider of choice. So if you do enjoy the show, why not hit the subscribe button on your platform? And if you've got any thoughts on the show that we are discussing, why not put it in the comments below if you are watching on YouTube? So, in terms of the show overall, we've discussed that part. So let's get into some little sort of individual nitty-gritty bits, as it were. Now, I know you mentioned, Ian, there were 4 matches on the show. Someone out there will likely go, technically, there were 5, because there was the kickoff show match, which is a fair point. That was for the women's tag team title. It was kind of just in a way, the reason I wanted to bring this up was because it kind of was a nice little taster as to some of what we might expect from the overall feel of the show. It was a pretty quick match. Indy Hartwell was obviously a main part of it because she is Australian. And so they kind of played that up as part of the story of the match. Kabuki Warriors, I said this in our little private chat between us, I forgot how much I love the aesthetic of the Kabuki Warriors because I really only watched the premium live events of WWE, sans a few clips here and there. So that was a really fun thing. And this match, perfectly fine. I enjoyed it. Got to see some good moments. The crowd enjoyed it. You got to really get a grasp of how the stadium looked as well when the overall setup. A nice little taster for what was to come. Ian.
Yeah, I mean, I've got not much to say about the match. It's like it was very nice. It was nice for Indy to get a little bit of a showcase in home country. That's lovely. The question's never the result was never really in doubt that Kabuki Warriors were retaining because obviously they're part of the Damage Control storyline. So it seems a bit bizarre for them to suddenly drop the belts all of a sudden because they're in Australia, all that sort of stuff. A good warm-up match, not necessarily one that you'll want to watch again, but it's just like it serves the purpose. It's a good showcase.
Exactly. Bit of a feel-good thing. Harriet?
Yeah, pretty much the same. It's very rare we get matches on a pre-show, so this was a nice surprise to have.
I think this is the first one in
this year anyway.
I can't remember. I generally cannot remember the last time there was a match on a kickoff show for a premium live event.
It's terrible, isn't it? Because
I mean, it's probably good we had the kickoff match. Otherwise, we would have had like a very long hour of the virtual set and just both Pete Rosenberg and Sam Roberts trying to do their best Triple H impersonations in their choice of clothing and beard. It's like I can be a Triple H head of creative too. Yes, whatever.
Doing creative booking for the koala that Kevin Owens brought into the arena, who is now his manager for some reason.
Mr. K.O. Arla.
Oh, amazing.
And also, I can confirm the last pre-show match, as it were, was at Crown Jewel, which featured Sami Zayn and JD McDonough.
I remembered it was Sammy, but I couldn't remember where. And I think prior to that,
a little quick search for it as I was going along.
I think prior was Clash at the Castle the following year, I think.
Possibly. I haven't gone that far back, admittedly, so you call it.
I think that was the last time because we talked about it. I thought, my God, it was that long ago. I don't know, but yeah, it was an okay match. It was fine. The writing was on the wall because Kabuki Warriors, the tag because they've only just won it as well. But like you said, it was nice for Indy to get her flowers in front of the show. I think they did try to incorporate as many of the Australian wrestlers into the show as much as they could.
Yeah, because I think initially a lot of people were expecting Say Bronson Reed to be in the chamber match for the men's, but he didn't qualify. But during the show, he announced he had a reason why he wasn't particularly at the show, but it's because he just became a father, which is great. Which is lovely news to hear. But yeah.
Indeed. So we get to the main show proper, and we begin with one of the Elimination Chamber matches, that being the women's match specifically. An interesting thing which I hadn't actually considered until the show began. In past years at stadium shows, say, for example, like a WrestleMania, we've seen Hell in a Cell matches, for example, and you kind of wonder, how's that going to be for the live audience to watch because of the way it's constructed and stuff? And it suddenly dawned on me, how's the Elimination Chamber going to look in a stadium? Especially from like a live being there in person point of view. Excuse me. Are there going to be sight lines impacted? I mean, not helped if you were sitting in one of the corners of the stadium when you had a giant LED board anyway. That's a different debate for another day. But overall, I think an Elimination Chamber just visually in a stadium, and just that as a discussion point to begin with, because this applies to both of those matches, I think there's something very unique and wonderful about it. There's an essence of it feels far grander in scale that it's being done in a stadium, and overall just that environment, it just lends itself pretty well, I think. And I think overall visually it came across very well. Harriet?
Yeah, I never thought about that actually until you brought it up, because like we're so used to because we've never really seen it live per se. We've just watched it through a screen, so like for a crowd it completely different. Though I did notice there were kind of TVs around the top, so I'm guessing if they couldn't
very
see
wide,
it, and...
very wide screens as well.
Yes.
For those.
But yeah, it was yeah, I'm I'm trying to find my right words for this, but yeah, from even we talked about it, like from our side, there was some lighting things as well that kind of happened in between, that some things we couldn't see. So I don't know whether that was because there wasn't a roof, maybe as well. I don't really know, but I mean, both matches were good. So visually, from what we could see, it was great, but I'm not sure from the crowd how it would be. So it's kind of interesting in a way.
It'll be interesting to see if there are any sort of live reports that come out about how it was to actually see that type of match in a stadium. But Ian, to let you chime in on this point, what did you think of it from the perspective of just the chamber in a stadium specifically?
I think the current chamber design, I think, is probably very well suited for that sort of environment, because obviously the old design of the chamber, you had the steel bars everywhere, so it really kind of, yeah, you really, I think it blocked a lot. I mean, you still have the chains, around the sides, but no, I think visually it looks imposing still. There's plenty. I feel from a camera point of view of them recording the matches and filming the matches as well, I think the newer design has allowed them a lot better opportunity to get good angles, good shots, and so forth as well. So yeah, I think it's fun.
Yeah, there was also a camera mounted inside the chamber as well. I'm not sure if you caught that, but I did realize that part.
Oh yeah, they have a good old fashioned high. It's probably high corporate res pan tilt zoom camera, just automated by the truck or something like that. See, that's real work coming into the podcast today.
There you go. But sorry, Harry, I cut you off before you got a chance to say, so please make your point.
Oh no, I was going to say, because I watched the press conference and Michael Cole at every point he could reiterated how difficult it was to get the cage from America to Australia. I think at some point there was pirates involved, and it's just
pirates, yar.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I just
because
not that type of pirates. Not those pirates, but I want to imagine it was that pirate. If it was if it was old creative, if it's old creative, it would have been. Oh, we couldn't get the Elimination Chamber from the Norway because there were pirates on the seven seas, yar, trying to take our precious chamber.
Or if they wanted to do an anime collab, they get in touch with the guys at One Piece and whatnot for the One Piece anime, and like, right, let's do a collab. Let's get the Straw Hat Pirates helping us to get the chamber to Australia.
I think we've missed brand synergy here, since they are now officially going to Netflix. You could have just gone to get the Netflix One Piece crew to come along.
There you go, right?
Get on the ship, guys. Get on the ship,
guys. It's all incorporated.
We're all one big happy family now. Watch out for One Piece coming to WWE.
It could happen. You don't know.
It probably will happen. It probably will happen when it goes to Netflix.
Yeah.
Netflix, if you want to get in contact with us, you'll figure it out. Just we're all available for bookings and such. So the first chamber match, it was the Women's Elimination Chamber match. It featured Naomi, Tiffany Stratton, Raquel Rodriguez, Bianca Belair, Becky Lynch, and Liv Morgan. In terms of the order of entry, if you will, just to sort of touch on that briefly, it was Becky Lynch and Naomi starting, if I remember correctly. And then the order of entry after that was Tiffany Stratton at 3, Liv Morgan at 4, Rodriguez at 5, and Bianca at 6. When it came to order of elimination, as it were, I'm going to make sure I can try and get this correct now in my brain. So Naomi was the first person eliminated by Tiffany Stratton, which I thought was a wonderful moment for Tiffany, of which also I think Tiffany was MVP of that match. Like, her moments in this stood out so much, and her stock rose for me, especially because it's one of the first times I'm actually seeing her wrestle as well.
I mean, with Tiffany,
sorry, I didn't know, but I thought one of you were going to chime in then about Tiffany. Sorry, that's why I left a little bit dead air there, as it were.
Well, I was just chiming in on Tiffany. But yeah, since I think at the tail end of her NXT run, Tiffany's been ready for main roster for months now. To be perfectly honest, she had a really good program with Becky Lynch and NXT for the NXT Championship, Women's Championship. So it's kind of like it's just a simple transition of you're changing your environment, and now you're in. You go from the Capitol Wrestling Center to a 50,000 occupied stadium. And it's like, it's quite, for one of your first matches on the main roster, that's really good to see as well. I had a thought that Tiffany was going to eliminate people throughout the match and just build up the heel heat. Because first you take out Naomi and then you crack on. Australian crowd love Tiffany, by the way.
Yeah.
As well. Very vocal Australian crowd. Good Australian crowd as well.
Indeed.
I will say the fly off the top of the pod to the other women down below was a great spot. Very good spot.
Yeah, I think I described it in our private chat as such a graceful dive while also being incredibly scary.
Yeah.
Because she sort of did like the Jeff Hardy style swanton, but did like the rotation a lot later than you would be comfortable with seeing.
It was more just a gentle forward flip off the top of the cage pod. It's like, I'm just going to flip forward. There we go. Catch me.
Yeah.
Everyone down.
It is a great way though to show if you haven't seen her before this, because she's only had a couple of matches on SmackDown because of the Elimination Chamber, but I had watched her prior on NXT because of the Becky matches. But this is a great way to show her off. You know, if you're going to have new stars, this is the best way to do it. And like you said, she was the MVP of this match. Her and Liv, I think, were very good in this match. Even though you knew what was going to happen, it was a great way to kind of show this is what she is like. You are going to love her. And I mean, my respect for her has grown a lot for her in this as well. Even though she is typical heel, but a great heel. And she's going to go great in WWE.
What was it? Liv had a really good off the pod moment as well, where she just came out of nowhere to deliver double knees to Raquel on top of a turnbuckle.
Oh my god!
And it's like for the moment, I saw you see Tiffany looking up at Liv, and it's like, oh, are they gonna climb up together and do something? I don't know. And then all of a sudden, here comes Liv. Poof! I was like, oh, ow. I think the difference between this match and the men's match. The women's is a little bit more full pelt, I'd say. We start with a moderate pace, a little bit until everyone comes in. As soon as everyone in the match is in, it's kind of like big spot after big spot after big spot, which is really, really good to see. The men's was a bit more methodical, and I think it took into that more wear and tear because we had some storylines, and we'll talk about the men's match where people are kind of nursing their injuries a lot more. Hello, Randall. In that sort of way. But no, it's like when everyone's in, it's just good spots after the other. And like the finale kind of played into that. It was kind of like before you even had a chance to kind of brace yourself for the final showdown between the last two, it's like, oh, it's over.
I mean, even at the beginning, you had Naomi and Becky when they first fought, and then like after Naomi slammed Becky's head into the cage, she kind of went up a bit and then done like a drop split on her
onto the ring.
Oh yeah, the death
so
split.
Good.
Death split.
We have now dubbed it the death split. Now I even wrote it in my notes as well.
Death split.
It was good. It was just like you said, just non-stop. There was DDTs. There was just the offensive of everyone, which was great. It was just like non-stop, and it just kept going, which is great.
In terms of order of eliminations for the remainder of the match, first of all, Tiffany was eliminated second after being pinned by Liv Morgan, and that was about 6-7 minutes after Naomi was eliminated. Then a couple of minutes after that, Raquel was eliminated by Bianca Belair via the KOD if memory serves. Give it about another 5-6 minutes or so. Then Bianca was eliminated by Liv. And then, according to the thing I'm looking at, 6 seconds later, Becky then won the match. So that is kind of the time frame we worked with. And when it came to the ending specifically, I really liked the double quick ending because there was that moment of, oh my God, Bianca got pinned, but then it didn't really have time to sink in. And then it was just immediate, oh, wait, Becky's won. And that kind of plays into the idea that anything can happen at any given second. But then there was that's also a way of keeping the focus very much on Becky won it, not that Bianca lost it, as it were. Because there's been a sort of direction I've gauged for a while that Rhea v Becky seems the most logical match at this point for Mania.
Yeah.
And so that was a way to really kind of help cement that rather than focusing on the fact that Bianca lost. Ian.
Yeah, I think the storyline I think we're going with for Bianca is basically she's not missed a WrestleMania since she's been on the main roster, so she needs to find a way to WrestleMania because EST's in the word. Apparently, that's the motive, I suppose. That's what they're telling me in wrestling. Anyway,
when that was said on commentary, and it was like you can't spell WrestleMania without EST, I just thought,
yes,
your point.
It's like, well done. You can identify which letters appear in this word.
My immediate thought was, are you going to make a T-shirt with just the letters EST really highlighted?
Just embolden it on the shirt.
Jeremy, they probably already have already. Just I don't know, but they probably have already. But my point is, I think either one or two things is happening. Either we will get Bianca versus Jade, because I think they might set that up, or Bianca and Jade versus Tiffany and someone else, possibly. Because they had the thing, not on this recent SmackDown, but the week before SmackDown, where Tiffany came in and pissed off quite a number of the female superstars, including Jade. And it's like, oh, we're not going to take that. So I have a feeling it's either one of those two ways. But that will be on the card. But it will just probably be in a kind of like a mid-profile match for this year.
Any thoughts from you, Harriet, before we move on to the next match?
The quick finish made sense. It was a good way to end it because it was kind of... The pacing was good because you think, oh, okay, it's finished quite quick, but it worked to its favor because I think it kind of ended in a good way. I have another theory. So even though Liv really wanted to face off against Rhea, she could still end up involved in a way, maybe costing the match at WrestleMania against Rhea and Becky. Maybe, I don't know. That's just something that's popped into my head. But there is going to be a match later on down the line between those two.
I think there will be. I think they will pick up the Liv Rhea story. I think going into Mania, as much as obviously we've got Becky and Rhea happening now, which is it's going to be a very good match. My gut tells me Rhea will retain at Mania. That's me, because I don't see the point in giving the belt to Becky right now. There's nothing from a storyline perspective. It's like it's like a dream match because they've never faced each other properly one-on-one. So that's a good shout. But I think considering the momentum of Rhea, and also she's front and center on a lot of things, including an upcoming video game, kind of makes sense. But that's just me. But no, in WWE, they'll change booking.
I think Becky did actually tweet afterwards saying you can't spell WrestleMania without the man, like to speculate on what Bianca said earlier, which I was just like, do you know what? Beautiful.
I feel I need to put that to the test. Hang on, wait. Is that right? Hang on.
I think that's what Michael Cole did.
Wait a minute. There's no H in WrestleMania.
There's no H. I was just thinking, wait a minute, that can't work.
No, I know, but I was just like, but I like the way she
all the other
with that.
All the other letters are there. To man
or la man.
In an Irish accent. To man is going to WrestleMania.
You might be able to have L man.
But there's no L in the man, Jeremy. How does that work?
I'm going like multilingual here. That's how I'm going about it.
Jeremy, there's no L in the man, and when the man's trying to say the man is in WrestleMania. Why are we arguing about this?
I don't know. I'm sorry I brought it up.
Thank you, commentary team of Michael Cole and Corey Graves. No relation. So yeah, women's chamber match. Genuinely, this is my attempt to try and keep things on rails here. So yeah, women's chamber match. Genuinely, really good match. I really enjoyed it. Definitely worth trying to go out of your way to see because it was a really good match. This is completely derailed. I'm just going to carry on. So then the next match on the card, it was for the undisputed WWE Tag Team Championships. It was the Judgment Day defending against New Catch Republic of Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate. This was really good fun. It started by Dom taking the microphone from the ring announcer and attempting to announce Judgment Day, and the boos were uber loud. As it were.
They didn't need to be piped in this time.
No.
So that was good fun.
He just said one thing. He didn't even do one word. He'll hear the boo. It's like, I really couldn't hear a word you said, boy.
And ultimately, Judgment Day did retain the titles, but it's a really fun match. It showed off Dunn and Bate really well as a tag team. I thought they looked super great, and it reminded me of a bunch of older stuff that I've seen them do as well. So really good to see there was another tag team in the division, just as a whole, quite frankly, of this caliber. And also, the Aussie crowd were really into them, which was a really cool thing to see, really into what they were doing. Ultimately, Judgment Day were able to pick up the win. Dom got involved in more ways than one, and ultimately, at some point during the match, was sent to the back, so to speak. But ultimately, Judgment Day were able to get the win. And the other storyline relating to this match, which I was not aware of until the match began, and I had to question it with you two. Apparently, a member of the Judgment Day who might have randomly shown up, an on and off member of the Judgment Day, I should say, had not made it to the country of Australia, because they had instead made it to the country of Austria. Not Australia, but Austria. And there are videos doing the rounds of R-Truth having arrived in Austria, going to an arena with no one there, no fans anywhere about or at hotels. He's just there and apparently was watching the show in Austria.
Protect him, please. Protect him.
Bless him. Bless him.
I love him so
Bless him.
much. I love the fact he ended this tweet with kangaroos as well. Oh my god, that was just beautiful. I did burst out laughing when I saw that, because I was just like, how can this be a thing? And I was just like, yep, that's it. There you go.
It's a thing. It's a thing. And him and Miz are winning the belts at Mania, aren't they?
They are.
Yeah. But the tag title match as a whole, though, really, really fun match. Another just a good showcase, quite frankly, for the tag division as a whole. Crowd were really into it once again, which no doubt they were going to be into everything all night. But really solid match. I think it even got a "This Is Awesome" chance at one point as well. So that kind of showed how much the crowd were really into it. So really, really good tag match, and really happy to have it on the show. Ian.
Yeah, really solid, really fun tag match as well. And it's a good match for the Judgment Day to work hard to win, because unless they didn't really win through cheaty methods this time around. Obviously, Dom tried to stop them, but then got thrown out. So it was literal fortitude and resilience from Damien and Finn to retain. And this is after Pete Dunne's done his usual finger games on the opponent, specifically Finn, who at the end of the match is seen checking his thumbs quite a lot, going, "Oh no, my thumbs. I don't know if I can put my fingers together anymore. I don't know." Finn is
my hand.
Finn is such a good seller. I like Finn's reactions. Sometimes are great fun to watch in matches, but also yeah, Dunn and Bate. Obviously, it's the reintroduction of Pete Dunne after years of Butch. At long last, so it's good to see Pete Dunne back to doing Pete Dunne sort of things. Good spots in the match. There was the airplane spin from Bate on Damian Priest, who just went round and round and round and round and round and round and round, and then eventually took Damian off his shoulders. And Damian had a great sort of whoo. He's like he's raised his arms up in the middle of the ring and just went woo. Flop and flop over.
It's funny you bring this up, because something was mentioned on commentary which I still can't figure out. There was something about, is he turning it the other way, the airplane spin, because we're down under?
Oh no, not the
and I literally thought that genuinely then started to make me think, what way do people normally turn an airplane spin? Is there a normal way? Is this like, if you're a regular wrestler, as it were, you work towards the left side, but if you're in Mexico, you work with the right? I'm like, I've never thought about this. Why is my brain breaking at this? You shouldn't do this to me at 10 a.m. in the morning.
I'm glad I didn't hear that, because I probably would have been the same. Yeah, I think we're all thinking that now.
Because Tyler Bate turned it in a clockwise motion, and part of me is thinking, if you're a right-footed wrestler, you might naturally go anti-clockwise.
In the meantime, while Ian's looking, I will say this. Shout out to their brand new move of the Birmingham Hammer. Amazing name.
So good. A nice little, even Corey Graves mentioned it on commentary, a nice little shout out to Japanese wrestling legend Kenta Kobashi with the Birmingham hammer rather than the burning hammer. I had a moment of that.
Right.
Oh,
which way did he turn Damien in the match? Did he go?
He turned him clockwise.
So he turned him clockwise. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just watching another Tyler Bates spin from a previous WWE match. He does the same direction. So we can put this mad theory to bed right now.
That's a myth busted.
Because basically the usual airplane things, he'll spin 360 clockwise a couple of times, go, oh, I'm awfully tired. Better do a squat. Oh, wait, no, I'm not tired. I'll go the other way and go anti-clockwise. And then it's like, whoa, I've spun too much. And everyone falls down. So we didn't have the other way around. That's probably where the confusions come from, is because Tyler hasn't spun the other way around this time.
Anyway,
I digress.
Into this.
You did.
Yes, but I think it was a relevant random point of commentary that should be called out. Just like you can't spell WrestleMania without EST.
Basically, is this the way we should look at reviews now? Is basically, instead of actually reviewing what happens in the ring, we just find the details that to us make no sense, or we think there's a deeper meaning. It's like we had that lovely skyline shot of the stadium. The sunset was going on. It was beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And then the camera went, fuck it, died, and just it's like, must it be ghosts? Is it ghosts? I don't know. Ghosts?
Well, it's funny you mention like other things that happen on the show that perhaps we should point out, because there was a moment during this match when Dom was being ejected, when suddenly the screen went black for a good 6 or 7 seconds, and we couldn't figure out why. And I was scrolling through Twitter, and I read someone say on Twitter, apparently the entire front row were flipping Dom off. So that's why they had to cut to a black screen.
It's like, stop swearing at our wrestlers, crowd. Stop it.
They had some choice chants for him as well throughout. They kind of focused on him. It's just like there is other wrestlers in the match.
This is a PG show for the kids. Don't show the middle finger, please.
I was expecting the old line of Bizarro World.
I did go back actually just to see before the cutoff point was there a sign that we missed? And it was just like, no, there wasn't. And then when you said it was, I was just like, makes sense. But also we couldn't see them.
Yeah, because when the camera went black, there was a sign on screen, and I suddenly thought, oh, did that say something? Because that seemed really random to cut it off. And then maybe it was just in the camera shot, and they just went, nah, you know what? Not having that, as it were. But so admittedly, we once again derailed this, but any other thoughts relating to the tag match before we move on, just to give you two both a moment?
I thought it was good because I know Tyler, I think it was talked about before, like Tyler hasn't really been shown much on American wrestling. It's more been for NXT UK because, you know, Pete Dunne has been in it for a lot longer. So I think it's good that they're having these matches so you can show like the compatibility of both of them and Tyler as well, because they're both great wrestlers and together they're even better. So it was a good match, and like you said, a clean way to win and probably the better way to win, because then going forward to WrestleMania it kind of makes Judgment Day look stronger, but also it didn't make the Tyler and Pete look weak. I thought it was a great match and all for both of them.
Not at all. I think. Yeah, I'm thinking that the Catch Republic will probably win the belt at some point in the next couple of months. I can see it happening very easily. Depends. It's like, do we really need them to be joined together at the hip now? Both those belts. Can we have two separate belts? I don't know. I don't know. It's like if we're gonna have separate world titles on brands, could we do it for tags again? Because then you get more opportunities for the other tag teams to have a nice sort of spotlight on them, like Pretty Deadly and stuff like that. But that's just me.
I have a way. Oh, I hate this idea I've just thought of. I have a way that this could happen based on something that was said earlier. If Awesome Truth were to win the titles
Oh no.
What if R-Truth declares he's the red brand champion and Miz could be the blue brand champion? Because it's such an R-Truth character thing that could happen.
Yeah.
It's utterly stupid, but it could work. It could work.
That's what's annoying about it.
Oh my god. Oh my god. I can see it happening as well. Like, you stand in that corner and I'll stand in this corner. Oh no. Oh no.
Just to leave that thought in the ether for everyone to go, why did you say that? Why have you put that into the ether? Let's talk about the Grayson Waller effect, because that was the next segment on the show where we began. In fact, let me pull up my I think I have an exact note of what occurred, if I remember correctly, in a particular order. It was something, I think I wrote down something to the effect of, insult locals, make a local cultural insult, done. Try and get back on the crowd's side, done. On with the show, done. That's kind of how Austin Theory's introduction for this entire thing occurred. Grayson Waller came out, got a reaction. I couldn't garner if they were actually happy to see him, but I think they liked the fact there was an Aussie being given a prime focus spotlight, as it were.
Yes, absolutely.
This led out to Seth Rollins with a unique choice of dress code, which we aren't really going to talk about in much detail here, to come out. And then Cody came out, and boy, did that Aussie crowd love them some Cody sing-along, as well as Cody eating up what we thought at the time was probably the entire pyro budget. Little did we know later.
I mean, this is a typical Saturday for Cody Pyro. It's fine. This is the exact amount of pyro I expect to see. It's the exact amount of pyro I expect to see. Although, just be winding quickly on Seth's attire. Apparently, it's a tribute to Prince.
Is it okay? Cool. In that case, then
there are some of elements that are not particularly
that remind you of a past figure. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, but hey, if it's a Prince tribute, absolutely fine with that. Absolutely fine. Yeah. So the big crux of the segment, just to kind of jump forward, there were two things that came to light from this segment. One, Seth Rollins made it known he is on the verge of being cleared to compete again. I think his exact words were days away from being cleared. So that's excellent to know. The other thing was Cody wanting to address The Rock, and he sort of started talking about how can he be called, that being The Rock, be called the people's champion when he's never like around the people and whatnot? Kind of actually sort of in a way sticking it a little bit to The Rock, which then led to him basically saying, Rock, I want you in a match. And there was a moment where we between us were like, wait, one-on-one? Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
And then Seth appears behind him and puts his hand on Cody's shoulder. And then you're thinking, what next? And he then says, listen, you know this isn't going to be a one-on-one fight if you take on the bloodline. You know this by now. I know this. So, and to sum it up, effectively said, if and when you face The Rock, I'll have your back. And then this eventually led to a handshake. We don't know if that means if he would be in his corner if he faced The Rock one-on-one, or if this is the kind of obvious scenario of a tag match that could take place, especially given some of the promos they were airing throughout the night, where it had Roman and Rock and Cody and Seth like standing together, as it were, respectively. It kind of points to the fact there is going to be something involving all four men coming very, very soon. We just don't know if it's going to be a singles match or a tag match, as it were. So those are kind of the big things. Overall, this was fun. It had some cool moments. It did feel like it went on a bit too long, to be quite frank, because I kind of wanted more wrestling when you look at it. But that said, everyone was into it. There was kind of a fun dynamic going on. There was some fun reactions going on, like when Cody specifically called The Rock Dwayne The Rock Johnson, and you could just hear Seth in the background going, "You said his whole name!" Or something like that.
It was like...
Cody used the forbidden words. You said Dwayne. There's some really good selling in this. I mean, it's like when they beat up poor Austin Theory. When they beat up poor Austin Theory and Seth delivers the stomp, Austin Theory goes kind of head first. Like he's like basically it's like he goes dunk and just kind of goes bunk. So basically he does like a whole 180 where he is from line.
He was like a pole vault.
Yeah, pretty much. It's
I loved when as he was being thrown, you could just see smell sort of.
oh yeah, when he's thrown into the side.
when he was mocking The Rock's catchphrases and whatnot, and like Seth was egging him on, like, oh, that was a pretty good one, that was a pretty good one. Come on, you got to do the big one, right?
Take his jacket off, come on.
To a sign.
I laughed so much at that. It was just great.
It was good fun. It was
Oh,
good fun.
God.
So yeah, those are the two big news notes from that segment. There was a thought of, are Rock and or Roman going to show up? And it was kind of made clear they likely weren't, but then they aired a promo from The Rock, which implied, what if? So it did kind of make you think a little bit. And I think there was just that collective feeling of, okay, that's the segment. Fine, cool, okay. But it did kind of just a little bit of like 1% what if in your brain. But Harriet, to start with you, aside from the wonderful moment of like Grayson Waller and whatnot, or Austin Theory getting thrown into a sign, the news on Seth being back imminently and Cody challenging The Rock, your thoughts?
It's good that Seth is soon to be medically cleared, because I think there was a big worry, would he be ready in time for WrestleMania, especially because he didn't have surgery. He wanted to kind of do this physically with physiotherapy and whatnot. So I'm really glad now he's good to go in a few days, and he proved it by doing the curve stomp at the end. And then the whole news with Cody, I did think, wait, are we having a singles match? Wait, I was literally just like, wait, what's going on? What's happening? But it does make sense. It is building to this tag match because there've been so many promos about it now. I mean, they've even got like their own promo of like Seth and Cody in one corner and then Roman and Rock in the other, kind of facing off against each other. So I don't know if it'll happen at WrestleMania. If it does, great. With a solo match, I could see also as well, like you said, with in each corner, but it's kind of slowly teasing, and now because we've got like 40 odd days now until WrestleMania, you need to have that build and tease towards it to kind of make you go, huh? So I look forward to it. Since the whole press conference with WrestleMania, I've just been like, do you know what? Bring it on. I'm looking forward to this now. Just come on, get it on. It's just good. I loved it. I kind of thought there'd be more to it with the segment, because I was expecting Rock. I was secretly hoping he was just like behind the curtain, because he did say like, if they talk smack about me, let me know and I'll come and do what I need to do. And I was just thinking, maybe, but
that was the what if that I mentioned, literally.
Exactly. So I think the segment was good. It kind of paced out well. I think even though I was a bit annoyed to see Austin at the beginning, it worked out in the favor in the end. So it was a great segment and all, and kind of a good way to kind of build up that Mania feud.
It inches the story on a little bit. I think we're all kind of thinking more or less it's going to be probably a tag match. There is a sense that maybe Rock takes Cody up on his one-on-one offer, but he says, you lose, you're not in the title picture, you're not in the title match at Mania. So there could be that, and that could be like a day two storyline of Cody having to take on The Rock and maybe in the opening, and then takes on Roman in the closer, aka Daniel Bryan from WrestleMania face. So there are different ways it can go, and they're both very intriguing. But I think considering the amount of advertising's done around the four of them, it makes sense for a tag or maybe a tornado tag match or something like that.
Fair point. This led us to the men's Elimination Chamber match, which, he says, trying to get his notes up quickly because his page went wonky, featured in no particular order. In fact, no, in the order of entry. Let's do this. So, first of all, the two that started the match were LA Knight and Drew McIntyre. They were the first two, which meant that the pod people, weird word, but that'll do, were Kevin Owens, Bobby Lashley, Randy Orton, and Logan Paul. That was also the order of entry for each person. In terms of order of eliminations, first elimination came after about 21 minutes or so, according to the thing I'm looking at here, which was Bobby Lashley eliminated first by Drew McIntyre. Drew actually, ultimately, you could argue, was the MVP of the match in terms of eliminations, as we will get onto. And it's worth noting that as well, because a big detail about this chamber match compared to the women's match, which, like I said, I really enjoyed, was that this men's match, by comparison, you could argue was far more story driven than the women's match. Like there was some definite notable beats, if I can get my words out my mouth, that really played into that, as we shall go on. Because the remaining eliminations were then, a few minutes after Bobby Lashley, LA Knight eliminated by Drew McIntyre. Then Kevin Owens was eliminated by Randy Orton. Logan Paul was then eliminated by Randy Orton. And then ultimately, Drew McIntyre defeated Randy Orton. But there is a lot more going on around that than what I have just described. So let's see if I can recount what happened here. So Kevin Owens really had a bee in his bonnet about Logan Paul throughout the whole match for obvious reasons, given recent history.
Yep.
But the two big moments of the match were leading to LA Knight's elimination. Bobby Lashley, be it storyline or whatever, had a really heavily taped elbow, and he was still being helped out of the ring by the referees as this elimination was about to occur. This meant the Elimination Chamber door was wide open for seemingly a couple of minutes. Suddenly, a figure runs into the ring. And it's everyone's favorite flat earth follower, AJ Styles, who somehow made it to the end of the earth and clobbered LA Knight with a chair and ended a Styles clash. Hey, I love AJ. I'm just calling it like it is, all right? Just based on what's online. Let's just call it like it is. So ultimately, AJ cost LA Knight the match, if you will, which one then assumes, and we can come back to this as we sort of discuss what Mania plans there might be and whatnot, one assumes this is now going to lead to LA v AJ in PA. I had to think about that for like American acronyms and stuff. So that's potential Mania match from that. In terms of Kevin Owens, I think this is going to be a long-standing distaste for Logan Paul at this point. I don't really know if following this there will be anything else major, unless he just happens to be involved in the match because, if that makes sense. When we then move on following that, Logan Paul was then eliminated by Randy Orton a short time after, a few minutes later. This then plays into how the match concludes as a whole.
Sorry, did you say that Kevin Owens was eliminated by Orton? Sorry,
I thought I did, but just in case, we'll go back again. So
yeah, because we talked about the night, and then you mentioned about Kevin Owens having things with Logan Paul. But then I don't recall you saying he got eliminated by Orton. That's just me. Apologies.
Okay, right. Okay, yeah. So, all right. So I'll pick it up from... So following on from the whole LA Knight AJ thing, Kevin Owens, as mentioned, was then the next person eliminated. In terms of things that occurred, he was eliminated by Randy Orton, but that didn't necessarily play into very much from a story perspective, as we would find out following the next... From the way the remainder of the match played out, I'll phrase it. Because Logan Paul was eliminated by Randy Orton. And this was done when Logan Paul reached into his tights, got the brass knuckles, you know, the power of the punch and all that, whatever you want to call it. And he was kind of, the only way I could describe it was he was kind of putting his fist in the air like he was just like cocking, you know, the gun ready to go or something. And as he was doing that, Orton flies into the camera shot and just delivers an RKO. It was
beautiful.
Chef's kiss of a camera angle.
So good. That's my favorite shot of the night.
Yeah, there was some genuinely spectacular visuals, and as you mentioned earlier, like there was a camera that just went earlier, and there are a few other wonky camera moments, but this was perfection. This camera angle, this was so good. But the reason that I mention that occurring, because this plays into what ultimately happened a few minutes later. Because we're getting Randy and Drew fighting back and forth. And ultimately, suddenly, Randy gets knocked down out of nowhere. And it's Logan Paul having hit him with the brass knucks because he's still in the cage. He's not gone out, which at that point, that's about, about 3 or 4 minutes, give or take. Which then kind of plays into a thing of, WWE really need to work on like that, getting out of the cage protocol for these things. Because that was twice in one match. But then, obviously, Drew wins. He's going to be challenging Seth, but the big thing now, it looks like, will be Logan Paul, one assumes, defending the US title against Orton at WrestleMania. So, I've talked a heck of a lot there. So, Ian, I will let you begin in terms of just general thoughts on the Chamber and anything else that you really liked about it and such.
I kind of like it was a war, basically, this one, because it was just... people were hitting very big power moves, but not necessarily being so surprised, going, "Oh, I'm going to go around, I'm going to hit my moves on everyone." Because you expect when you have Randy Orton, you expect there to be an RKO-a-thon left, right, and center when he comes in. But it's like Randy enters, he does his vintage Orton on Owens on the outside of the ropes into the cage man, and then we play this sort of long match storyline of the back issues that have plagued Orton for the last year and a bit. So it's like you have that slow of, oh no, I've really injured, but he still kind of comes back in with the odd move here or there, but still continuing to fight for an injury. I mean, it's like one of the things with Bobby Lashley, for example, is he has the arm injury due to a storyline thing from the previous night with Karrion Kross attacking it with a chair. So you still had the occasional Bobby Lashley power move. There's a wicked spear through the chamber against Logan Paul, which looks hell painful, really painful. But it's that injury that costs him against Drew, who delivers a Claymore, which I think was aimed for LA Knight, but then LA Knight kind of rolled out the way. And yeah, it's just like Owens is he's just like a determined like pit bull of a dog against Logan Paul. It's just various different bits as well. I mean, there was a bit, I can't remember who it was. I think Kevin Owens is I think it's Lashley. It's someone has picked up Logan Paul or something like that, and they brought, I can't remember who it is. Someone has picked up, no, it's Drew McIntyre. So LA Knight has picked up, I think, Drew McIntyre. He's taken him to Kevin Owens' pod, and he's just kind of bashing him against the thing, and Kevin Owens is just headbutting at the same time.
And then
just hilarious visual, but it's just
Kevin Owens is just applauding inside the pod, kind of going, "Yeah, excellent job, well done,
excellent job, thank you, LA Knight. Yeah, right, fine." And then there's also a bit where Kevin Owens, when Logan Paul enters the match, he just stuffs him back into the pod, closes the door, and they just brawl in there.
Oh, that's the other thing we should mention. Sorry to cut you off. There was a point during the match when there's like, because they had like some cameras inside the pods, so you could kind of get like another little inside look, and they had microphones which played into various parts of this match being censored, i.e. the audio being cut. We assume because of mondo amounts of swearing, but they didn't catch one from Bobby Lashley. Oops. So they have a close-up of Logan Paul's pod, and you can see he's like drawing something on like the sort of the plastic glass material, whatever it is, and you can't really figure out what it was. And I joked he's probably drawing a Prime bottle or something, just to make it a free advertising. But then you pointed out, Ian, to me that it said, "Oh no, he actually wrote Kevin sucks."
And it's just a cartoon picture of Logan looking cool and Kevin sadly being cruelly depicted as uber fat. And it's just like, we're going down petty routes, aren't we, Logan? Aren't we, Logan?
That's going to be on the auction site by the end of the week,
That was a random amount I wanted to point out there, so please continue.
No, but no, my general sort of thought with the match, I think if I had to pick between the two, there are spots in the women's match I do like, but I think like the sort of like slugfest like the men's was. It's like there wasn't like crazy like big moves. It's like people weren't just randomly flinging themselves off the top of the cage willy-nilly left, right, center. I think Logan Paul did like a big crossbody on someone, but other than that, there wasn't really big chaotic moves. It's just people just hit heavy moves. They took a while to get back into it, and it brought up that sort of brawl aspect of it. So ultimately, I think I would, out of the two champion matches here, I'd probably lean more towards the men, simply because of that factor of I think it's just the drawn out slobber knocker aspect of it, really. And the fact is, you're kind of intrigued with some of the storylines. Obviously, the AJ LA Knight thing's been going on for a while now, so that's clearly continuing. I'm intrigued about Orton and Paul, because I think that might be a fun one if they're going down that route. But then the question is, what does Kevin Owens do at Mania? That's the thing. Either it might be a multi-man battle for the United States Championship. You never know.
Koala enthusiast Kevin Owens.
Yes. Just
actually, you know what? That actually goes back to his pre-WWE days when he was like Kevin Steen zoo enthusiast. And he was like big into zoos. I bet he had a whale of a time. Like, genuinely, you should look it up.
Still is. On his Twitter, and social media, he absolutely adores the zoos. So basically, yeah, anything zoo related, Kevin Owens is definitely interested in it.
can we please get Kevin Owens an actual zoo sponsorship of some kind, please? I want him to be officially endorsed by zoos across the globe.
There you go. There's a WWE Network program or future WWE programming. There you go. Kevin Owens goes and look at nature and just goes, "Yep."
I really thought for a second you were going to say it was a WWE zoo.
No. Rewind. One of his recent T-shirts has just been a giant panda, and basically the story behind it was the shop team asked him, "What do you want for your new T-shirt?" He just went, "A panda." Why? Pandas are cool. All right. It is brilliant. It's like fight, panda, fight.
Oh,
And he is a character in Tekken, so.
Yeah, there you go. Right, there you go. But Harriet, perfect time to turn over to you, as it were. Thoughts on the men's chamber match?
Oh, it was brutal, but I enjoyed it. I will say that spot where Bobby speared Logan Paul through that pod, it was just like, oh, so brutal. And also before that, I think he threw Kevin into the pod beside him as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, from both sides. Yeah, I did enjoy the spot with LA Knight bashing Drew against both pods. It's just it's just so good. And Randy selling at the end when he was, my back, I can't do it, because Drew was going for the Claymore, couldn't do it. But it was just a sneaky trap for Randy to do the RKO on Drew, which was great. I did like the way it ended, because I was going for Drew anyway to win this. It was more how he won it, because even I was at the end thinking, wait, could Randy win it? Could he win it? But yeah, the way that it ended was very well done. Again, made both men look strong and made Logan like the coward that he kind of acts as he does in the ring anyway, and makes you kind of dislike him more, even though you have to say he is a great wrestler, but still.
Emphasized by the crowd chanting after he did like a really cool move. The crowd just started chanting, "You still suck. You still suck."
What was it? It's like the whole thing of Orton was actually quite cleverly kind of signposted in the press conference, because on the press conference side of things, you had Logan, Orton, and Owens. And Owens just gone, "Oh yeah, this guy's turned up last since you've been gone. He's kind of weaseled his way in. He's a bit of a pain." And it's like Orton's just going, "All right, fine." It's like Orton kind of downplayed it, and it's like, well, downplaying it is now cause you to lose your shot at Mania for a 15th championship. So it's like, there you go, subtle building.
That's a very interesting little dynamic I wasn't aware of, actually. So that's really cool to know.
Yeah.
That was good.
But Harriet, please continue.
I was going to say, I think I agree with Ian. I preferred the men's over the women's, because there was a lot more storytelling to tell. There is a lot more coming out of it than there was going in. So in all, I thought it was great.
Yeah, I think it's like I sort of said at the top when I was talking about it. It felt far more story driven, and there was a lot more going on in the men's match. But I thought the women's match was a good showcase for the women, if that makes sense. I think that's almost the way I would describe it. It's hard to kind of articulate properly, but both chamber matches really good in their own right, just very different dynamics of what occurred is probably the way to actually sum it up. This then led to the main event of the evening, which, let's just call it like it is. We all pretty much knew what the heck the result was going to be. It was more, like you've been saying, Ian, it was about the journey of it and whatnot. It was Nia Jax challenging Australia's own Rhea Ripley for the Women's Championship, the World Women's Championship. Sorry, I should be more specific. And you know what? I enjoyed this match. It was about trying to overcome the giant, and could Miss Brutality, as it were, overcome the giant that was Nia Jax. There were moments that played into it. There was a commentary table involved on the outside where Nia, I believe, did a jumping elbow drop off of one of the announcers' chairs, which kind of spun out of the way from under her as she did it. So fair play for making that work.
I think what might have supposed to happen, I think the slam she did before doing that was supposed to break the table. But then it was like, oh, table's not broken. F it, I'll just do a gentle elbow off the side. But anyway.
But another dynamic of the match as well was that Rhea was having to pull some stuff out of her arsenal that we don't normally see her utilize. She was doing, for example, the odd missile drop kick. She tried to do a Hurricane Rana very early on in the match, which seemingly kind of looked like it almost caught Nia off guard of what the heck? What do I do following this? So that was another little dynamic in that we We're not used to her having to go this deep into her arsenal of tactics, as it were. But ultimately, Rhea was able to get the upper hand in the match after being in submissions for quite a long time as well, including, which I won't labor the point because I've said it to you guys already, including Nia trying to apply for about a minute or so the stretch muffler, which I will maintain is the worst looking submission hold in wrestling. That's a debate for another day. But ultimately, Nia Jax was hit by the Riptide, so fair play to Rhea for being able to hit it, and got the 1, 2, 3 to send her home country crowd home happy. Too many homes in that sentence, but that'll do. Overall, fun main event. I think it was Corey Graves that said it on commentary, actually, that a deserving main event match on any show, let alone one in Australia. I think it was a really solid match. I enjoyed it. Great showcase for Rhea continuing to be the dominant champion. And it's more just about then what is next. We know that it is Becky, but we'll come back to that point in a few moments specifically. Harriet, I'll start with you. What did you think of this main event match?
I really liked it. I mean, I'm a big Rhea fan, as you can kind of tell. So just the reaction from the crowd, like, because I knew as soon as she walked out, it was going to be rapturous. Though Nia did get a good mixed crowd, which was good. It wasn't like good, it wasn't bad, it was quite good. But yeah, it was a great match. And also in regards to, like you said, Rhea was using stuff she hasn't used before. Nia was using a lot of submissions because it's not really her thing. She's very much like, you know what, just attack sort of thing. But in all, I did enjoy it because it was a case of one point Rhea was kind of not scared, but she was like, how can I do this? How can I actually defeat her? Because everything I'm trying is not working. The kick out at the Annihilator was very good because you just think, is she gonna kick out? But no, that was very good. And then the superplex with Nia at the end before the Riptide was very good. It was just a great match throughout. It was, yeah, I really liked it. A great way to end it. And I think Corey said it as well, like this is her WrestleMania moment before WrestleMania, because of it being her hometown. It was like 7 years before she wrestled prior to that. And I thought it was great. I mean, the press conference was really good as well.
With
so
the whole
I was just
shoey
like,
and whatnot.
yeah, exactly. And I was just like, do you know what? I'm really happy for Rhea. Even though she is a heel, you could tell at this point she was very much a face in this before now. Right, okay, back to business, on to WrestleMania. Thanks against Becky. But yeah, I really enjoyed this match. It was just great.
Ian?
Yeah, I think considering the history of Nia Jax matches, I think this is probably one of her best matches. And it's like she played the perfect role of powerful adversary, or basically just a movable object. That was basically, it was like the irresistible force of Rhea Ripley, the irremovable force of Nia Jax. One of them had to give, and it was just good with that dynamic. And it wasn't just a simple Rhea squashes, because we've seen a couple of the Rhea squashes matches in the early start of her title reign here, like Zelina Vega at Backlash, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, it was a very good kind of David and Goliath style story. It was very, very well executed. Some of the spots were really, really good. I'm with Harriet. The second rope like suplex to set up for the finale was really brutal. It was like, oh, this is interesting. And also a little shout out to Dom with a little bit of a Eddie Guerrero fog splash off the top. Crowd kind of went Eddie, but it's like, no, she's doing that for Dom for the time being. So, all that sort of thing. But no, it was a good atmosphere. Results never in doubt. But the fact is, we had a really solid match. It didn't feel like it was a phoned in match as well. So it's like they put on a very good match. It's a very good main event match as well for the moment and for the occasion. And yeah, it's onwards now to Mania and Becky for Rhea.
Which I think that leads in perfectly to the next topic of discussion, and that being what is currently, as things stand, on the cards for WrestleMania, and kind of what a few things confirmed and such like that. We know we're getting Cody and Rock. Cody and Roman one-on-one. Sorry, that's what I meant more specifically. That is the confirmed match in that scenario. Yep. We know in some way, shape, or form we're likely going to get another match involving those four people, as it were, Cody, Rock, Seth, Roman, and such. We know we're more than likely now going to get Logan and Orton. We know we're going to likely get AJ and LA. That's really difficult to actually say when I try and say it like that. We know we're going to get Bayley and Io. one of the women's championships. We know we're going to get Becky and Rhea for one of the women's championships. Based on what you were saying earlier, Ian, which I hadn't considered, likely we'll get some kind of carrying cross Bobby Lashley thing at Mania as well. That kind of seems like a logical place for that to culminate to, perhaps.
You'll probably see the ongoing, like, another installment of Carrion and AOP versus Bobby and the Street Profits, per se. It's like it probably seems like you're going to get another continuation per se, or just a match per se. It's probably going to be very low on the card anyway. So,
in terms of what else, there hasn't really been anything specifically teased on this show. I know you mentioned in passing, Ian, perhaps Awesome Truth winning the tag titles. That could be a direction they could go in. I know we were musing between ourselves in our private chat during this show itself. Maybe Bianca and Jade, because they sort of teased it at the Rumble. That perhaps could be a little thing they could do, or it does that maybe need a bit longer to sort of build toward. Who knows? But there's still a lot of sort of pieces of the puzzle to be put into place, as it were. We don't really know too much, but we've got 2 days of shows to fill, so there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
You've also got the Jimmy and Jay, because that's ongoing as well.
Yeah.
Is that continuing it?
Yes.
That's all but a cert that's going to happen this year.
Yeah. Brother versus brother is definitely a thing.
Yeah. The mystery is who's challenging Gunther. That's the thing, because it's like it's like a lot of the people you would expect to take on Gunther are now busy. So it's like Jay's obviously didn't beat Gunther on this past Raw for the championship because of Jimmy. So you're gonna have Jay versus Jimmy. I mean, Sheamus is still out. He might be back soon. It seems like
Chad?
It's kind of gone. Chad Gable seems to be a logical. I think Chad Gable is a logical step. And if you're trying to make new stars and all that sort of stuff, it makes perfect sense. Braun Breaker's now on the main roster. He's on SmackDown, though, so I don't know. He's probably going to be prepared for next Mania at this moment in time. He might appear at this Mania. Who knows? There's still quite a few components in place, but the card is starting to take shape. And it's like, based on the current trajectory of WWE products at the moment, it's like storylines that are capturing our attention. The right stories for most of the big ones are being told well. So it's like Cody, Rock, all that. That's whatever's happening on the journey is like it's been fun at the moment since the press conference, as Harriet said. So we've got that. Drew is continuing his march to being uber heel, or heel that is right, which is also a thing, which I've enjoyed so much as well. This is kind of like, it's like, oh, I prayed for this moment that you get injured, and I've got the T-shirt as well. I thought generally the end of the match for the men's chamber was Drew was going to go to sleep on Orton to continue building the Punk thing, and before Logan got involved. That's what I was thinking when he was taking his time to go, I know what I'm going to do. Go to sleep. All that sort of stuff. No, I think at the moment, it's like this will be a very solid card. And again, it's like the in-ring stuff. I mean, the show shows it. The in-ring stuff, when you give it time, it's really, really good. And it's like you don't get things don't feel rushed. And they've got 2 nights of shows. Last year, obviously, aside from a few questionable results, last year was a very good Mania. This year could top it quite easily.
Yeah. You need to for this milestone as well, number 40 as well. Going back to Drew, I did love at the end where he did the same pose as the great tombstone. Very end, I caught that. I was like, oh, he's doing the meme again, because he's doing so many meme things on Twitter. It's great. I love this version of Drew. It's so good.
also, Drew needs to win at Mania. There's no ifs or buts. Drew has to win at Mania.
He has to, because so many chances, and it's just like, please. I don't mind Seth as a champion, but Drew needs this.
Yeah, but also got Priest.
What I really want, and I appreciating Drew is. Oh, sorry, what was that?
No, I just remember it's like, there's Priest with a case as well. So it's like, will Priest take it up to the near deadline to cash in? Because he's tried cashing in before. So part of me is thinking maybe it might be you might do a heist of the century thing on that match, but ultimately, I think it's a cert. Seth's not leaving Mania with that belt. But that's
I really want Drew to win it because I want him to actually have that moment in front of a crowd.
yeah.
That's I just want it for him. Regardless whether he's face or heel, I just want him to have that moment because he got it at the Royal Rumble of 2020 when he won the Rumble match, and then he had to win it in a warehouse.
Yeah.
And then Clash of the Castle, we were all saying it at the time, be it on podcasts or elsewhere, that felt like a really big missed moment then. And then when he had to close out the show by singing an Oasis song with Tyson Fury, it's like, yeah, I know what ending I would have picked to the show, probably. So I really want him to have that moment.
And then there were choices.
Exactly. I've actually just looked up last year's Mania card. For point of reference, Night 1 had 8 matches and Night 2 had 7 matches.
Wow.
Okay, so we might kind of, it might be same. Maybe might go 6 matches per night because 6 seems to be the golden number. 5 or 6 seems to be the golden number.
Yeah.
So two men's championship, 2 women's championships, tag championships, intercontinental United States. So that's already 7 matches with the main.
There was also a Hell in a Cell match last year, which I totally forgot.
Oh yeah.
Oh god, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh god, it was as well, wasn't it?
Sponsored by Russell Crowe going, "Good day. I'm the Pope's exorcist. I'm not doing my accent at the moment. I'm just Russell Crowe. And these people, like gladiators, they're fighting. I don't watch any of this stuff, but they pay me money to do it. Also, see me on a Vespa and drinking coffee." Moving on.
So we should see how the card does unfold. But folks, the road to WrestleMania is firmly in 4th gear at this point. I think it's fair to say we've still got, I think they said just shy of 50 days left. I can't remember the exact number, but it's
42.
less than 50 now.
About 40 odd now. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're getting very, very close. But Ian, before we wrap up proper, I know we've got a few other bits and bobs coming up on BunkaMania over the coming weeks. So what are some of the sort of the plans of action we have got for forthcoming episodes?
Well, next week is Revolution for AEW. So we'll hopefully try to get a review podcast of that sorted out as well. That leads us straight into WWE 2K24 season per se, because the game comes out. We are looking to do quite a number of different content things with it because it's a big game. There's so many different things there. Hopefully, if my GM mode is online this year, we have some plans for that. If not, we'll be going through things like the My Rise storylines. We'll be doing the showcase modes. We'll be trying the different game modes. We'll have a fun roulette versus mode, that sort of stuff. So we've got that on the horizon as well. So, and then towards the tail end of March, we're going straight into Mania. So Mania is in April. So it's gonna be interesting how we do that, depending on what happens around that event for us with our outlets. So we'll definitely be doing stuff for Mania. Absolutely be doing stuff for Mania. And then we might try and get the odd extra film review in there, left, right, and center. We did do the Iron Claw last week, so if you haven't watched our Iron Claw review yet, the film is, I think, available on VOD in the US. It's going to be out on Blu-ray and DVD towards the tail end of March. UK, it's still showing at select cinemas. So if you've watched the film, want to hear our thoughts, we've got a link in the description below, and it's going to probably be on the end card of this episode on YouTube as well. So you can click straight through. Me and Harriet talk about that film.
There we go. So, folks, stay tuned for another episode of BunkaMania coming very, very soon. As mentioned, next time, definitely going to be an AEW Revolution review. We might try and do something before that, kind of a nice little lead up to Revolution, because I'm still keeping up to date with AEW stuff. So it might be cool to kind of just do almost like we'll call it like a catch-up show, if you will. Kind of what's the lay of the land with AEW? So it might be interesting to try and do that, but we will see how things go. Harriet, if people want to find you away from the BunkaMania side of things, what is the best way that people can discover what you do?
You can find me on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, at MangaGirl232. I post there when I stream, which is around once a week. And my Twitch is Harriet_MangaGirl. Trying to remember that. I just stream various things from Lego building to random games, what I feel like playing on each week. But I always put the day or the few hours before if you want to catch me on there. And YouTube as well, youtube.com/mangagirl232. I know there is a new NSP video coming out the weekend of the convention, so I have to try and work out a way of trying to record that in some capacity and upload it on the same day, which should be fun. But yeah, if you find me on X mainly, that's where I post most of my stuff.
Well, cool. And I should say as well, all the links that we're going to mention, they will be in the description below as well if you're watching on YouTube. So that's an easy way to find them. Ian, if people want to find you outside of the BunkaMania realm, what's the best way for people to find you?
They can find me on Twitch. I stream weekly at the Dekker Dane, all one word. And if you want to follow me on Twitch, it's at Dekker Dane as well. So little bits and pieces. Yeah, Mondays I watch random stuff on YouTube, and sometimes I get mad at it. It's a blessing and a curse. Mostly a curse for me, but anyway.
A blessing for us.
And if you want to find me, you can find me under the username in most places of Giraffemi. That's JERAFFEMY. Yes, I did do a little Jeff Jarrett parody there with how I said the name. That's how it rolls now, folks. I tend to stream on Twitch every Friday where I'm playing some video games. Currently, I'm playing the Ace Attorney game, so that's very good fun because I've never played it before. And you can find various other things that I do as well. But of course, we have been BunkaMania. If you have enjoyed the show, be sure to hit that subscribe button on your platform of choice. We've got lots of episodes of podcasts in the archive, like Ian mentioned, the Iron Claw review, and lots of stuff. If you want to go back and hear what we thought of like events of years gone by, there's lots of archives at this point, so why not go and do just that? From myself, Jeremy, from Ian and Harriet, thank you very much for checking out BunkaMania Wrestling. Until next time, take care and speak to you soon.